Hello and welcome to Health Matters on Channels Television. Thanks for joining us. I am Mary Alale Yusuf. When a blood vessel in the brain is blocked or has ruptured, a stroke or cerebrovascular accident has happened. Some symptoms are headache, fainting, and unconsciousness. Now, stroke is one of the 10 leading causes of death in the world, and in 2012, according to the World Health Organization, it was the second biggest killer after ischemic heart disease, taking 6.7 million people. My guest on the show today is Gloria Ekeng. She's a clinical nurse specialist for transient ischemic attack and stroke at King's College Hospital, Denmark Hill, London. She has a master's degree in advanced neuroscience practice and is the founder of Stroke Care International. Gloria Ekeng is also on the board of the World Stroke Organization for Sub-Saharan Africa. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, we've said a lot about cerebrovascular accidents, stroke. Oh, by the way, you do TIA. Is that the same thing as the stroke?
Well, TIA means transient ischemic attack, otherwise known as the mini stroke. When that happens, mini stroke, that's not even a full-blown stroke. When that happens, it is a window of opportunity for clinicians to do something fast before somebody has a full-blown stroke.
Tell us, what are the signs? Does stroke come with signs that are visible, things that you can look at and say, oh, this looks like it?
Yes.
What are those?
Definitely. We have there is an acronym, FAST, F-A-S-T. Things that you want to look out for. F stands for face. Is your face equal? Is it going to one side? Is the mouth deviating to one side? Are they drooling? That is a sign from the face.
Now, is it a sign that the stroke has happened or is about to happen?
Has happened. Has already happened.
What about signs of it's about to happen? Do we have those?
Well, because stroke is a sudden thing. It happens suddenly. So when it happens, you would know. But the individual will know if they've been having persistent headache, for example, uncontrolled blood pressure, and their heart has been pounding, things like this. And sometimes they'll feel numbness and tingling of one side of the body. Things like that. They will begin to feel nausea, sometimes vomiting.
Nausea
general, exactly. General feeling of being unwell. This will be just the
How about fatigue?
Fatigue, yeah, getting excessively very tired. Very tired. In the case of high blood pressure, people's blood pressure will be excessively high.
Is that always the case before a stroke? Or can just any normal person, 120/80 blood pressure, just get a stroke?
It's not always the case for everybody. It's different. Okay? Somebody can have a blood pressure of 140/80 and still have a stroke. And somebody else can have 180/110 and is still walking because they're not aware.
Okay, so let's go back to the fast.
Yeah.
The face could be unequal, getting slack and all that. How about the
daily? A is for arms. Can they raise their arm? You see, when a stroke happens, there's a weakness to that always unilateral side of the body. Can they raise their arms? No. In stroke, try to raise their arms, it will fall back. So they haven't got power to that limb. So S is speech. Do you understand them when they're speaking to you? Or is it slurred, like they cannot really get the words out? It could be slurred, which is one way, that they're sort of drooling. It's hard for you to understand them. There could be total absence of speech. Or there could be speech that is not non-intelligible.
So in other words, a stroke would affect speech muscles.
Definitely.
It would affect movement muscles.
Exactly.
And it can even affect the way the person's face looks.
Exactly.
But you said it's always unilateral. It never happens on both sides of the body. Never.
One side. Because you see, stroke affects either hemisphere of the brain. And at the back of the brain, there's the crossing. So a stroke that happens to the left-hand side, which has the speech center, will manifest on the right side of the person's body.
Okay,
and
so it's
vice
not
versa.
everybody who's going to have the same sorts of manifestations, as it were.
No.
Okay.
Some people may not even have a mobility problem or weakness. It could just be a visual problem. There's a stroke that affects the eye. There's a bleeding at the back,
Okay.
the way your vision comes. And, you know, sometimes people see things halfway. It's like a curtain coming down, and we call that amaurosis fugax. That's a big word, but sometimes they see something halfway. I could see you half, maybe up or down.
And the rest is
And then the
okay.
rest, yes, and in absence of a weakness or speech. So you have to look for these things individually. They all don't occur at the same time.
Are these things that people in families should know generally? Things they should be aware of? Or it's just a specialist thing?
Definitely. This is why we at Stroke Care International have been doing awareness programs.
And you're doing awareness here in Nigeria?
In Nigeria here, we've just finished 2 programs. One on the World Stroke Day, 29th, and then we're doing free blood pressures for people, free diabetic testing, free consultation.
So it's something that we should know.
The family should know.
Normally.
Because when the families know, then they'll be able to assess when something happens and know, this is not right. There's
Take us through what
something
T
not right.
is.
T is time to call emergency service.
Okay.
You don't wait. Stroke is an emergency. And in neuroscience, we say time is brain.
Time is brain.
Time is brain. You've never heard about it?
Never.
Time is brain. The more time you waste, the brain cells are dying.
Okay.
Every second.
Okay, so what we're talking about here is the death of the brain cells.
Yeah, brain cells.
Tell me, can the brain cells ever be revived when, a stroke happens?
It depends on how the extent of the coverage of the stroke.
Okay, that brings me to another question.
And then the speed in which the recovery,
Okay.
the management.
Do we
the
have
recovery.
different types of stroke? Can you classify?
Yeah, we have different types of stroke. We have the ischemic stroke, which is about 80-something% of all strokes, and that is really caused by a blockage in the blood vessels, stopping the blood flow to any part of the brain. And then we have hemorrhagic stroke, which is the bleed, which accounts for about 20% of all strokes.
So that's
and happens
less.
suddenly, and that has a very high mortality rate.
Okay. The hemorrhagic strokes, that's the rupture.
That's the rupture.
Those ones are less common, but more dangerous.
More dangerous. That's right.
Tell us, in Nigeria, would you say, or let me put it this way, the prevalence of stroke is most where, do you think? Is it the Caucasians, the blacks, the Hispanics?
The blacks.
The blacks.
The blacks, because of our lifestyle.
Okay. Tell us about this lifestyle. What kind of lifestyle makes stroke, welcomes a stroke, so to speak?
Well, first of all, you have to think of a healthier lifestyle.
Okay.
For those who smoke, stop smoking. Because
Smoking is
what
always bad.
smoking does to the blood vessels, it hardens the blood vessels.
Okay.
And then a piece can break off from there and go up into the circulation and cause
Just
a
by
blockage.
smoking?
Just by smoking, continuous smoking. The tannin that stains the blood vessel hardens the blood vessels and causes
But do you think
atherosclerosis.
Nigerians smoke more than Caucasians?
Well, not really, but you see, our genes are different from theirs. So you cannot say because they smoke, it's going to have the same effect if a black person smokes. Another thing is our lifestyle, what we eat. We tend to eat a lot of carbohydrates, very, very heavy food. The heavier the better. People said they want to arm themselves with that.
With strength for the day.
With strength for the day. And that could be dangerous.